So I'm Amelia Womack, Deputy Leader of the Green Party, and running in Camberwell and Peckham as a parliamentary candidate there. I think it's so important that I've come to realise that in politics you're never going to change anything unless you challenge it. And at the moment there are so many things that happen that I fundamentally feel like need to be changed. The fact that our public transport isn't working for people, the fact that our NHS is being sold to private corporations, meaning that there's being money made out of our health service that isn't reinvested back into people, and the fact that we're moving towards 2 degrees of warming of climate change that could completely change the world as we know it. So supporting Rupert Reid in his campaign in Cambridge. Now, Cambridge was actually the 3rd highest Green vote that we had in the last general election. And I think there's a real thirst in this area for Green representation and actually having Green Party candidates standing and having that voice that's proving that business as usual politics is changing and that we can fight for a fairer future. So basically having a campaign bus that means that we have an opportunity to have a spot where we can talk about different issues with people and make politics a bit more accessible. But compared to everyone else's campaign buses, ours is run off chip fat, so we have that environmental edge to it. And I quite like the fact that it's an old Route Master. I think it's got an amazing look to it, and the fact that it's kind of been reused, reinvented for this kind of purpose, I think is really interesting. Well, my very first election, my mum gave me the leaflets of all the parties and told me to vote for what I believed in. And I voted Green, and I've been Green ever since. But it's that realisation that things like poverty and climate change are all political, and that there are things that I wanted to influence change in, and I feel that politics is the way that we can actually inspire that change. And I think running for deputy leader, basically I was doing a lot of work with young people, and as a young candidate myself in the European elections, I was being invited to events that were supporting young people getting involved in politics, because young people are underrepresented and young people don't vote. And actually by getting more involved and finding out more information, I was basically really shocked that young in Europe was now under 40, and I felt that was fast moving towards an apolitical population and not just an apolitical generation. And looking into the literature, that if you have young people at the very top of your parties, then that inspires more people to get involved. And the Young Greens asked me to run. I didn't think I was going to win, but there was clearly an appetite for people to see more young people and proving what young people can do in politics. I mean, another example, I was elected deputy leader in September, and there are 18,000 members, and now we're up to 63,000 members. And actually, if you include the Scottish Greens, we're the biggest Green party in the whole of Europe at the moment. And I mean, that has come with a number of challenges, because we're actually funded by our membership. So we haven't got the same kind of party machine that other political parties have, but we've actually, through the increase in membership, we've been able to invest in regional coordinators, local coordinators that have actually got the campaign going at the grassroots. But the most exciting thing is that the more that people hear our policies, the more that they actually want to vote Green, and it's having this kind of avalanche effect. So I think that was something that we really saw with the Green surge, was the more that people joined, the more people said, well, I've been thinking about joining the Green Party, I will actually go and do this now, as the kind of surge happened. And we're still seeing that now, and I'm hoping that will really impact our votes in the general election, especially in places like Bristol West, Norwich South and Sheffield Central.
Okay.
That basically politics is so relevant to everybody's lives, and it takes people it takes young women, it takes people from all kinds of different backgrounds to actually create the diversity that we need in Parliament. The fact that we don't have 50% women, which is representative of society, shows how far behind we are on equality. And I mean, taking into account things like BME statistics, disability statistics, it just really shows that we need to be focusing on diversity in politics, and that everybody has values. Everybody has values, and actually standing up to represent them and being the voice for those values is really important. And if you see somebody who don't feel like any of the parties represent you, then well, it's worth having a look at things like the Vote for Policies website to see what kind of political parties represent you. And I've met people that have set up their own political parties because they don't feel represented. And I think that's an important part of democracy as well.
Amelia Womack, thank you very much.
Thank you.